Um, oh my God. No, well, of course they did that while I'm speaking. I love film and television work. I was an actor in Los Angeles and New York before I moved here to raise my daughter in Texas. So Texas is home. And, like what Gigi said, like we all want to work here. And so I'm creating a series based on Texas politics that I hope I can cast all of you guys here and film it in Austin, because I'm tired of projects about Texas being based, first of all, on men. And second of all, that, yeah, we bring in talent from outside markets when we have everyone here. So keep me in your thoughts and prayers. And if I don't know you, connect with me on social media. And yeah, it's nice meeting everyone virtually. Thank you.
Well, since we had our president make her announcement, I will go next. I'm a national board member for the Houston Austin Local. I was former president and national board going back to 2012 when we merged. I'm from Los Angeles as well. I came here in 2006, which I mentioned when I met Gary when I got here. I'm a writer, actor, producer, film editor, published author. Because of the pandemic and stuff, I've been trying to catch up on making maintenance repairs to my house. And luckily the pandemic provided unemployment insurance, which our union was right before Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, who got through that particular thing to go ahead and have us to have some kind of gig people, because we don't do regular jobs, have those protections as far as having unemployment available to us. So thank you, my union. And because of all the stuff that's been going on, I actually took a short time gig, which just ended last Monday with a law firm, because I was in LA. I did entertainment law and bankruptcy and all the other stuff. And when I got here, I was doing a short stint, and then the lawyer I was working for, interestingly enough, said, well, and you're in Texas, and in Texas, employees have no rights. And I went, really? Okay. That is why I'm a union person, because we need to have protections for everybody. And that's what our union does. Protects us with regards to fly-by-night producers going in and doing their productions, using your talent, and then walking away with the product, and you get nothing.
So my name is Sean Jones. I am managing partner of SRE Promotions. I mostly specialize in a lot of car shows here in Central Texas. I was invited tonight by our good friend Barry Rogers, who's invited me to several things that we have both worked on with different stuff. And I'm always looking for new talent and things, actors, actresses, musicians, and things like that for my future events. So, I'm glad to be here tonight. And want to say hello to everyone, and thank you, Barry, for the invite.
Yeah, Sean he is a vast network of like 15,000, I believe, in both of his car groups, two of the largest car groups in Central Texas, and he is networking day and night. He's one of the nicest people to deal with, and he knows everyone. One thing I've learned about the car world is that a wide variety of people come to this world. So if I need a dentist, electrician, whatever, Sean is a great resource for all of that. So good to connect with Sean.
Stephanie Whalen, who is new to us as the director of the Texas Film Commission. We've known all the previous directors, and we expected to meet you way back when you came on board, and then this thing happened in the world and that didn't happen. So here we are, we're finally getting to meet you, and so happy to. Very curious to know what it's been like for you and what's going on in the entertainment media industry. Here is Stephanie Whalen. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here too. And I know it has taken a long time and lots of COVID time. And I'm so glad I can be here to sort of give you an update about what's been going on in our world, and to also bring along two very incredible staffers that I get to work with every day to talk about the work that they do. So I'm going to introduce them, and what we thought we would do is go over a little bit about kind of the work that we do, and they're from our marketing departments and our production departments respectively. And then I can give you kind of an overview of what's sort of happening in our world and the work we're trying to accomplish, as well as just the state of the industry, the way we see it as it comes through our office. And then we are happy to answer any questions. So I'm gonna introduce first Katie Kelly. She's part of our marketing team. Katie, I am totally blanking. You've been at the commission longer than I have, I think.
Over 14 years.
Yeah. And before that, Katie worked in production, and I'll let her give you her resume. She always has some good projects and good stories to tell, especially as we've been doing, we hit our 50th anniversary in 2021, and we spent a lot of time as a staff going back through our archives, and Katie's insight and experience was always of huge value. So, and then Allie Nichols is one of our senior members of our production team. And our production team does anything from provide locations for productions that are coming to town and need a starting off point as they begin scouting. She provides permitting guidance. Allie is also one of our main points of contact for our media production development zone sales tax exemption. So she deals with all things infrastructure related and helps shepherd those projects through. Allie has been at the Film Commission almost a little bit longer than I have as well. Our division doesn't have a lot of turnover. I have a lot of people who are really good at their jobs and they stay, and that's really wonderful. So, and Allie, I'm forgetting all the multitudes of things that you do on a daily basis. You kind of just catch all the line drives as they come at you. So if you want to jump in and add anything that I'm forgetting, please do. But
I mean, I'm happy to jump in if we're going to talk. I don't want to take it away.
Okay. Well, I thought we could start, and you guys could talk a little bit about the work that you do first, and then I'll come in and sort of give an overview and touch on incentives, since that is our only division that isn't represented here tonight. So since Allie, you're on my speaker view, why don't you go first?
All right. Yeah, so like Stephanie said, I'm a production consultant with our office. I've been there since about 2010. So working with projects really oftentimes in the preliminary phases of pre-production, looking for locations, production office, permitting guidance. We have a really dense internal locations database of statewide potential filming locations. It's internal and external. Some of our locations are just featured on our website on Locations Hub, which is a public facing database. So you can easily search this database and look for potential filming locations as you're working on your projects. But if you find that there's something you can't quite find on the database, or you're wanting a little bit more customized locations package, I'm happy to help out and put together location images for projects in that regard. There's oftentimes property owners, homeowners who might not want their properties showcased on a public facing database, so they only have them internally. So that's why you might not find everything you're looking for on our public database. But it's a really great tool because we have so many locations in this database. It's been around since 2002. So there's all kinds of options within there. And we do also receive owner submitted properties. So if any of you are interested in hosting your homes or businesses, although I know, since you know how the sausage is made, so to speak, sometimes people aren't as interested in having their homes listed. But should you be interested, we encourage you to list your property with our database to market it as a production location. So that's a big part of what I do, is sending out location packages to projects, working with producers to get an understanding of what Texas has to offer, what our geography is like, what our crops are like, so many people call our office and think they can get a desert location, right outside of Austin. And that's just not the reality of what our landscape is. So it's a lot of educating people on what Texas is and what Texas isn't. A lot of permitting guidance is provided, just the way that it varies across the state. So we really are kind of a one-stop shop for just getting the contacts that you might need to make your project happen. So we're really kind of directing traffic a lot of times when it comes to giving that permitting guidance. I know a few of you guys have talked about working on some projects of your own, Gigi and Michael, developing this series. So as you are in those development phase, if you're ever needing a locations package, please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to get together some options for you. Sometimes we find that when people are in those development phases, having those lookbooks and showcasing what you're imagining for a project in Texas can be beneficial. So we'd be happy to help you in that regard. Like Stephanie mentioned, I also do help co-manage a program called the Media Production Development Zone Program, which is a sales tax exemption program for construction, renovation, improvements of a media production facility. So that can be a sound stage, that can be a video game company, that can be a production office space, anything that's solely dedicated to creating media production. Because the way sales tax works in the state, it is a combination of state and city tax, local tax. So you have to work with the local government to go through this application process. But we help projects who are interested in this kind of navigate those waters, navigate those applications and how the program works. If a project is approved, it is a 2-year exemption on construction cost. It can be a bit of a dense application process, but for some larger facilities, it can really be a good sales tax savings option for them. We've only had so far 2 applicants through that program. One is a video game company here in Austin called Certain Affinity, and the other one is a studio out of Fort Worth called Red Studios. Sorry, I spaced on their name for just a second there. So that's a lot of what I do. I get all kinds of random questions. We really call our production office like text Google sometimes, because we're just getting so many random questions from people who are looking to understand how Texas works, how our labor laws work, how our unions work, all those types of things. So we're kind of a catch-all for anybody kind of inquiring about Texas and how to make their projects here. And that's what we're here to do, is to just show people that you can make it here. We have the talent, we have the locations, we have everything you need. So we're just here to market the great state and get more projects here. So that's a very quick rundown. Sorry, I know I kind of ramble a little bit there, so I'll let Katie take it away.
You're not rambling. In a nutshell. So my name's Katie Kelly, and Stephanie said I've been with the Film Commission a long time. Started there at the end of 2007. Prior to that, I had about 12 years of experience freelancing in various capacities. Travel coordinator, director's assistant, worked on Miss Congeniality as a travel coordinator, The Alamo as director's assistant, as well as The Rookie, and director's assistant on Man of the House as well. And then the opportunity at the Film Commission came up, and I was fortunate enough to join the team. So the areas that I handle within the Film Commission, something that might be of interest because I heard several actors in the group, is our Texas Film Commission Job Hotline. We have 3 segments within it. We have the film and TV jobs for crew section of it, as well as casting calls. So if you're not familiar with it, just go to our main texasfilmcommission.com, pull up the workforce tab, and then there's the job hotline.
So I can pull up a link and drop it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna. I didn't think I should have copied some links for y'all. I will do. I can always do that when Steph takes over too. So we've got the film and TV jobs for crew, and then we also have the casting call notices for actors, and then we also have digital media job postings for video game and animation AR, VR companies as well. I also handle our events calendar and call for entries sections of our website. So when you're having events like this, if you can send me information on it a little bit in advance, I can always post that to our events calendar to try and attract more people to attend your events. And all of these are free services our office doesn't charge anything, as we're a state agency and we work for the Texas constituents. The call for entries is typically for film festivals located throughout the state. They're looking for filmmaker submissions. Sometimes it's screenwriting components. I heard there were some writers in the group as well, so check that out. I am also in charge of our Texas Production Directory, which is a free resource for crew and vendor listings located throughout the state, and free resource to filmmakers. So if you don't want to post something on the hotline, you can always reference the production directory real quickly. If you're looking for a PA, if you're looking for a camera rental house, if you're looking for a grip company, caterer, you name it. We've got the gambit. Or if you're looking for an animation company, video game company, AR, VR company, we've got those industries within as well. We also list industry organizations, universities that have programs that cater to the film industry, to video game industry, and to the animation industries. On top of that, I also work with film festivals, liaisoning with them on our sponsorships for various festivals located around the state. Sometimes we are able to do monetary, sometimes we have a booth, sometimes it's marketing collaterals, educational materials, or panel participation, or providing information to attendees. And last but not least, I am also our liaison with the Texas Moving Image Archive Program, and our co-partner with that is TAMI, which I'm not sure if everybody is aware of them. Texas Archive of the Moving Image is what TAMI stands for. And they do partner with us on film roundups that they do throughout the state, and they digitize people's home movies, which then are input into the collection. And they also work with educators to provide lesson plans to kind of support some of the footage that is submitted to the collection. So, and that's a free resource to educators throughout the state. So helps with lesson plans when talking about various topics. And that is kind of me in a nutshell.
And I'm gonna really quickly
hand it back over to
Tammy has an amazing archive of footage, and oftentimes filmmakers can use this archival footage. They can request it to use it in like a documentary or any of your future projects that you might be working on. So they have a pretty awesome database that you can just like plug in keywords that you're looking for, or that you can even reach out to them and they can help you find a specific archival footage to try and incorporate into your project. So it's a really awesome resource, and also just kind of fun to play around and look at all the.
Oh, you could spend hours looking at what's in there.
It's really easily. Yeah, like I think this Tammy and a lot of people know about this. We've been working really hard to sort of create more awareness around the Texas Archive of the Moving Image, because it's so important to preserve our film history and to make sure that those videos can be used for education, as well as like Ali was saying, a lot of times we'll send documentary filmmakers there and they will have had no idea that this resource exists. So I know Katie takes a lot of pride in getting to work with them, and we do too, because it is a great resource. So
do you want to take it away, Steph?
I will happily take it away. So as you can see just by what Ali and Katie went over briefly with you, they do a lot. And I have, including me, there's 8 other people on staff that are equally as hardworking and quite incredible. So one of the things that I did before I became director in 2018 was I ran the state incentive program for a while. And so we have a 3-member incentive team that are here to help sort of answer potential applicant questions, to help applications get processed, as well as they help do the full audit review that projects are required to go through before they get a grant paid out to them. But our incentive program is not a tax credit. We don't have a state income tax. So we would have to enact a state income tax to then rebate it. So we are a grant, and our grant gets funded every 2 years by the state legislature. And we are part of, in 2015, we used to be sort of an agency, a standalone agency, and as part of the Office of the Governor. We are still part of the Office of the Governor, but in 2015, we were moved under the umbrella of economic development and tourism. So and we're quite excited about that, because a lot of what we do is economic development. Film production can come into a location, and that is a direct influx of cash. They are spending money at small businesses. And as part of our incentive program, they must hire 70% Texas residents at least in order to qualify for the program. So they are hiring Texas residents. So that is just a quick overview about the incentive program. We just got out of session, or it feels like we just got out of session, but we're also gearing up to go into session. It'll be here before we know it, next January. We were funded this year for the next 2 years at 45 million. That is not nearly enough. We could do way more business, and will be doing way more business, but things will hopefully be coming here without incentives, because we will run out. We always run out of money. Always. But the good news is people want to come here and film. We have lots of wide open spaces. We have lots of a variety of locations. We have incredible crews and talent, and the need for content is such is that we're seeing a tremendous influx in project inquiries wanting to come to Texas. Give you a little bit about incentives. All the details about the incentives program are on our website, so I won't bore you with all the percentages and all that fun math. But if you have questions, you can always reach out to someone on our staff, and they're happy to talk you through that. Ali mentioned one of the things I do want to talk about a little bit is infrastructure. That seems to be the buzzword. It was definitely the buzzword in the last legislative session. We had 2 potential bills filed about additional incentives related to infrastructure, separate from the sales tax exemption that Ali mentioned. She co-manages. The need for content for streaming has been so great that we have seen, like I've said, a tremendous increase in our inquiries. For our appropriation cycle started September 1, we had more applications starting September 1 than we normally see in the first 6 months of a fiscal year on September 1. Not to mention the fact that budgets have gone up due to COVID. So we're seeing lots of great things, but we're also seeing that there are challenges to these great things. As with all, things, there's a balance. With regards to infrastructure, a lot of the reason people are inquiring about coming here is because there is a need for turnkey space. Studios in places like Atlanta and even overseas are booked out 2 and 5 years. And so they're hoping to come here to have a space to create their projects. And so we've been working on trying to get more turnkey purpose-built space. And that's one of the things that Ali does. She works with different companies who want to come through that exemption and either build or refurbish production spaces. So I expect moving forward, infrastructure will continue to be the buzzword as there's a new studio being built in Bastrop and potentially 2 more. That seems to be the popular corridor out that way. But we're also hearing rumblings from places like Amarillo, San Antonio, and more in Fort Worth. So there are emerging markets all over the state, and that is pretty exciting to see. Oh, I should also add Waco. That is also an emerging market. traditionally our production centers have been Dallas and Austin, and we're seeing that change. So, and Allie and Katie, I meant to tell you, if you have anything to add, please just jump in. So, because I'm trying to remember all the things I was hoping to say. So I talked a little bit about infrastructure, and I think I mentioned earlier, we just came out of our 50th anniversary year. The Texas Film Commission has been around for 50 years. We were established in 1971 by Governor Preston Smith. I've studied up on my history, and we did a year-long celebrations. We dug into our archives, and our staffers wrote editorials based on the decades and the types of production and the trends that were happening. In each decade, we did virtual forum things much like this, but sometimes on a bigger scale, where we had panelists and topics that we were talking about that related to the themes that we saw happening in each decade. We had a really cool reunion of everyone who's ever worked at the Film Commission, and including interns. Did we do the interns? I can't remember. We haven't done that yet. We'll do that. No. We were COVID.
We've had an internship program since about 1995. So, yep. And we have them three every semester. So that's a lot.
That is a lot of interns. I forgot.
Well, and we actually have several current and former staffers who were interns within the Film Commission. And fun fact, Ted Garner, the day tripper, was a former intern. Oh.
Yeah, we definitely, I feel like we don't have a lot of turnover. Our staff are hardworking and loyal, and that's a pretty amazing thing. So in addition to the 50th anniversary programming, the last sort of piece of that, and more due to COVID than anything, we are planning a film. So one of the programs that our office sponsors is called Film Friendly Texas. It's a certification program, and it's meant to train to provide information and training to rural communities and small towns to understand what the needs of live action production are, so they're ready to meet those needs, that they understand that they have a permitting system in place, that they'll understand what a production may ask for if they're coming into their town. And sort of giving them all the tools they need to not only have a good experience, but to further that, production's a ripple effect. It comes in, they film, but it can also then ripple out. There's tourism, there's new skills that people in the town learn and can put to use. And so what we try to do with Film Friendly Texas certification is train our small town community partners to understand what those needs are, so they're ready to jump on those opportunities when a production has a need. And Peggy, you might be able to speak to this a little bit. Working on Fear the Walking Dead, you filmed, and I'm sure all over in some really great towns in Central Texas. I know they were in Elgin, they were in Taylor. Allie, I'm forgetting all the ones. They were north of here.
In Dallas and Georgetown and all over. And I know that there are some very big fans of Fear the Walking Dead who are planning to come to Texas to go and visit as many sites as they can visit. Where it was
and we actually have a Fear the Walking Dead film trail as part of our tourism efforts to capitalize not only on the production, but so we worked with AMC to take some of the public facing locations that the series used, and now we have a film trail that people can go on our website and follow and go and visit these locations. So
I will definitely share that with them.
Please do.
And we just certified our 162nd film friendly community, Miles, Texas.
Yeah, we have communities certified across the state, and it's been a real pleasure to get to know all of our community partners and to help them identify their strengths. If Kim, our program manager for the Film Friendly Texas program, were here, she'd probably say we teach them how to give us their good, their bad, and their ugly, because we take all types of locations, and that, you know, we want communities to understand that, like, you have a lot to offer a production, even if you think you don't. So with Film Friendly, we had been planning a big sort of forum to celebrate our 160 plus communities, because there's more coming down the pike that will be certified. So in May, we will be celebrating all of those communities with a large conference at the South Fork Ranch. We'll be providing an additional, you know, sort of additional learning opportunities. We'll be certifying new communities, hopefully, and we'll also be launching our digital media friendly program, or, you know, live action is a huge piece, but we're also seeing more digital media companies, AR, VR, XR. Texas has always been a home for lots of gaming studios. And so we're gonna launch that side, because those types of businesses are also looking to move out beyond the metroplexes, and we're trying to help our community partners foster all types of relationships with media production. So we're excited about that.
There's probably a lot of good opportunity for some of our talent to get involved with those video game companies and voiceover work.
Absolutely.
We always need talent in that way. So hopefully as that continues to grow, we can see more cross collaboration with our Texas talent.
Yeah. And then one of the things that I work on is legislative affairs. I'm always planning, it feels like, or in session. And my job is, well, we can't lobby for our program legally. We're not allowed to lobby. I work with different interest groups and trade organizations that do lobby, and we work to educate them about our program, about the benefits of our program. Currently, our grant program has a $5, so it's a 511% ROI. So that's for every dollar we pay out in grant, we get $5.11 back in spending from a production. That's a pretty tremendous ROI. And so my job is to make sure our legislators understand that. My job is to make sure they understand the highly skilled crew people and the very talented actors like that live and work in Texas and want to continue living and working in Texas. My job is to make them understand how skilled animators and, you know, digital artists are, so that they understand where the talent pools are coming from, and so that we're not losing talent that is being educated and trained in Texas and going elsewhere. So we spend a lot of time doing that. We spend a lot of time sort of liaising and making connections and making sure everyone stays as well educated about the work that we do and about the sort of data that we can collect, whether it's from projects that are coming through our incentive program or projects we're working with and providing support services, like Ali mentioned, locations, permitting guidance and whatnot, and things like that. So it's my job is never boring. That's what I say. It's always something new, and it's a lot of it definitely is a lot of making sure the right people, like the right person has the information that they need at the right time. So I just gave you a very brief overview of a lot of things, and I'm sure you have lots of questions, and I haven't checked the time. I want to be respectful. I think Judith said we're ending at 8. So I think we're happy to open it up to questions and want to hear what you guys want to know about the work that we do. I'm seeing lots of hands start to go
And
up.
I put several links in the chat, as well as Steph and Ali as well. So
yeah.
And by the way, on the time, actually, I put 8:15, and typically it's closer to 8:30, and we've been known to go on longer, but I think actually it's a matter of respecting your time, because you already worked all day and now you're here and kind enough to share your information with us. So you tell us when you're done. It's okay.
Okay. We produced a conference today. I don't know if you guys, you should, before I forget, please sign up for our newsletter. You'll hear all of the things that we're working on. You'll get session updates when we're in session. You'll get links to when there's new job postings and what things like that, and any sort of like special events that we're up to. And one of the special events we literally just completed at about 4:30 today was our Women in Tech and Innovation Conference. We co-produced it with the Governor's Commission for Women. It was a virtual conference. It looked at many aspects of media production, but also a lot of aspects of tech, and looking at the women who hold those jobs, and not just women, people. And it's meant to be a professional development opportunity for folks looking to move up in their careers or just learn about a new aspect of a career. So we had panels on podcasting. We had one on broadband access. We did one, we had a conversation with one of our Austin gaming studios. So it was a very eclectic mix of topics that all kind of fit together. And the staff, most of them were headed out to go celebrate. So I hope they're enjoying their easy tiger time, because they worked really hard, and it's been fantastic seeing that hard work come to fruition. So I will stop babbling, and I am ready to take some questions. And it looks like, and Michael and then Pamela, but Michael, I think your hand was up first. And I think you're muted.
There you
Can you
go.
hear me now?
Now we can.
I'm commercialing again. First of all, Allie, Stephanie, and Katie, thank you so much for being here and representing the Texas Film Commissioner, office. I love that you have such a warm, happy faces, all of you, and it just makes me feel more comfortable to approach you guys, because we think of the film commissioner as just as, so anyway.
Thank you. Don't bite.
You don't bite. Good. This question was for you, Stephanie, when you talked about the grants and producers coming in having to have at least 70% of residents in Texas. Is that crew only? Is that cast and crew only?
It is 70. So the main threshold requirements, and there are other ones as you get further through, but the main qualifying, the ones you have to jump through first to really sort of get even like a chance at the money is 70% of your paid crew and 70% of your paid cast must be valid Texas residents. And a valid Texas resident is someone who has a valid Texas driver's license, a valid Texas college or university ID, or a valid Texas voter registration ID at least 120 days prior to the first day of production. So you've got to be a resident. You can't just come in and show me your gas bill and say I'm a resident. You've got to be a Texan, and we check it. It goes through an audit.
Are meeting that, and if they don't, then they don't get their grant.
Yeah, that's our grant. Is you spend it, you have to document it. It gets audited by the state, and those guys don't mess around.
Right.
And so you got to prove that you spent it in Texas and on Texans before you see any piece of your grant back.
Okay, and that, because I'm assuming that helps for casting our Texas actors, which is what we want.
Yeah, and we've been working with we have a pretty big show in North Texas right now,
right?
And they were concerned that they wouldn't meet their minimums, and we worked with not only the unions and the other trade organizations on the crew side, we worked with the SAG reps in Dallas to make sure that they were meeting those minimums and they were casting who they needed to cast to make their incentive numbers.
Yeah, that makes me very happy to hear that.
Can I just ask a question about that? Does that mean that if they just bring on more background extras that are paid, and that counts, but not?
That can count towards the cast count. Yes, extras count towards the cast count.
Right. And then this question was for Allie. Allie, you mentioned about voiceover work, teaming with gaming and stuff like that, because we have a lot of our union actors that are voiceover actors and have demos and all this stuff. I'm wondering if maybe we could connect offline to maybe do an event for our members or something, just to educate them.
That idea.
Yeah, and knowing about that, because we have tons of work, and a lot of that work unfortunately is non-union. The gaming system, they hire non-union over union, and I would like to see that change so that our union members can work. So I would love to connect and collaborate, possibly to do like a Zoom or an online event.
Yeah, we have a staff member who's dedicated to working with digital media companies, ARV,
Awesome.
video game industries. So happy to bring him in the fold, and maybe we could host some sort of like, meetup that's like bringing the two worlds together.
I would love that. Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
And I just wanted to echo off of, the incentive program. I think it's important to reiterate that we are only incentivizing Texas spend. So,
Thank you, Allie.
I'd have a huge budget, but only spend a certain amount in Texas. They're only getting a rebate based on what they're spending in Texas. So, these costs that are going to out of state talent, we're not incentivizing that, to reward their spending in Texas, not these other folks. So
awesome. And any work that the union that we can do, I know we're limited. Our staff is down to 0 at the moment. We're actually looking for an executive director as we speak, and our assistant sort of under member contracts left as well to work nationally for SAG-AFTRA. So we have 0 people. And that, except for Linda Dow, who oversees all of the SAG-AFTRA locals. So I don't mind sharing my information, or Pam as the local SAG-AFTRA president, to kind of take some of that load off, to say that we are here to collaborate in any way possible to help you guys, because you are exactly what we want and need. Our members are dying to stay here in Texas and work, and the talent is, I can't even talk about it, but like, it's amazing, because so many actors went, myself included, to LA and New York and had the pedigrees and the degrees and the training, and have come back to Texas to raise a family or to be with their family their family as they age, and to buy a house. So the quality of talent is not an issue. I see Texas, and especially with all these new sound studios going up in Bastrop, as going to be the next big Atlanta, and I feel like that's why I'm here. So I'm very hopeful and positive. So anything that we can offer and to promote with our membership, please, reach out to me or Pam, and we're at your service, and we appreciate you.
we appreciate
I was going to say, Michael, you'll appreciate, I'm actually posting one of the positions tomorrow on our job hotline for SAG-AFTRA.
For the new position, I guess. Thank you.
I got an email about it late this afternoon.
Thank you. We need it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Michael. And just a quick reminder, once you finish with your question, if you could remember to lower your hand, that would help us keep track. And I believe, Pamela, you're next.
Yes, I requote everything that Michael had said. In addition, when I first came to Texas, you had a different workshop set up to train production people, assistants, and a bunch of different things. And the most things that I keep hearing, well, we're not shooting in Texas because the crew is not all there, such as they're saying camera people. Are there going to be some additional workshops geared towards the basic crew that needs to put off a production here? Do you have those online?
We are tasked with doing workforce training, but we've found, you're right, traditionally there had been workshops that were done. They were like 1 weekend workshops, and they kind of received a certificate from us that they had gone through this workshop. We're finding that a weekend of training just doesn't cut it. And that the way we look at workforce training and skills pipeline development needs to be different. We need to set people up so that, like, in previously we'd do a workshop and we'd have 40 to 50 people, and then you're flooding the market with 40 to 50 people who are competing for the same jobs. And so that doesn't make sense to then set people up to not find a job. So what we're trying to do is look where the holes are in the markets. And we've been doing a lot of work with our companies that are hiring and trying to understand what their needs are. So like I said, we've gotten really active with our trade organizations to understand what their membership is like. It's been, the IATSE has grown during the pandemic because so many people have come back, and they've been working to reduce membership fees for people to join who maybe have lapsed or not. There's, we've been trying to understand where the holes in the market are so that we can help, fill needs and facilitate filling those gaps. And so you won't be seeing workshops that happen the way they used to, but you will be seeing more events that are about making sure people are connecting to where the jobs are.
Okay.
So, and then as for camera and whatnot, we've had our crew's been at capacity and, this fall. So we have plenty of crew and, they've been working. So I don't know, and Katie mentioned the production directory and our job hotline, and we're always open to helping people find people. It could be that they're only looking. We had a show who only wanted to hire people in Austin. And we said, well, we have 4 shows going plus a movie in Austin. You're not going to find crew in Austin. And we let people know what the sort of the where we are at capacity wise with crew when a project inquires with us. Because we're not regulatory, people aren't required to check in with our office, but we do our best when someone does come to us with a project to let them know the landscape of what they're walking into. Like, oh, you're trying to film the second week of March in downtown Austin? Good luck with that. You won't find trucks, you won't find hotels, you won't find things because it's South by Southwest. Maybe think about later in March or early April, right? Things like that. We let them know what the landscape's like because we want to set projects up for success when they come here. We want them to know that Texas hospitality is indeed alive and well. I would suggest if you do hear things like that people are concerned about finding crew, that they reach out to us because there might be people we can connect them to actually find the crew.
Another feature of the production directory too is there's a little checkbox that says willing to work statewide, and that's something that someone who's searching the directory potentially may not. They may look for a specific city and not realize that there are people who are willing to work statewide. So if everybody in Austin is full, they could bring in people potentially from Dallas or Houston too. So it's still Texans, and they could have a family member. I also wanted to mention too that there are other organizations as well that do some of the training, and we do put those on the events calendar, like Austin Public and AFS will do certain certification workshops to train crews as well. So that's stuff that we've put on our events calendar in the past as well.
Okay, thanks.
And a lot of the shows that are coming in, they have training programs, and we've been working with them to make sure those training programs get up and running on the ground here in Texas. So we're trying to work smarter and make sure we're filling all the gaps and getting the best sort of workforce training opportunities that we can for our crew or those who want to become crew and cast. So
I guess it's Katie, you're doing marketing, correct? So
Correct.
where are these coming? Where are these notices coming from so that this group has that information, especially that are working, that is their career?
So you're saying, I would say the job hotline is one. Are you talking about like workshop stuff too as well?
Correct. The events where they're doing more training. That's
okay.
what I'm asking.
Events would be under our events calendar, and I will put the link to that in the chat. And there's also a subcategory within that for workshop. So it just depends on if you want networking or if you want workshops or what exactly. And I'll put that there.
It's really monitoring our website, the events calendar,
Yeah.
job hotline. We don't have like we do have a newsletter that we send out bi-monthly that has
links.
updates on what we're working on. It will include some event things, but it's only bi-monthly, and there's Katie fills that events calendar up, y'all. I mean, there is so many
daily.
So,
yeah.
I mean, you really should just kind of monitor the website directly to stay up to date with all those.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. Really, this is great.
Yeah. Great. I think I see another hand at Gigi.
Hi, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
The first one is with the studios, specifically the one in Bastrop. I'm fascinated by this idea of Amarillo too, but in Bastrop, the gentleman who's bringing in the studio has 2 other studios in Los Angeles. I know a lot of the public doesn't always get everything. So are there contracts that are being signed like behind the scenes, or is he planning on kind of building it and they'll come kind of a thing? Do you have the answer to that?
I don't have the answer to that because I'm not privy to, like, he's obviously working on that in the private sector and with the municipality. But my guess is you wouldn't make an investment like that without knowing that you could get the business.
Right.
And I will tell you that, you know, so I can't speak to anything about that studio. It's called Line 204, but I can speak to the uptick in inquiries we've been getting about projects wanting to come here, projects that come here without incentives because they just need space. So I can tell you, you know, this studio, they do own other studios, so they understand what it would take to make, you know, their nut, so to speak. So I think they wouldn't go into it lightly without some plan. But otherwise, I don't really know.
Okay, and that was the first question. The other question was, and thank you so much, because I'm trying to figure out if there's already something happening between Amazon, Netflix, or if there's some other, like some kind of like route or base that's already been agreed to that would fund that being possible till the work comes, you know, kind of a thing. But
I think those streaming services have so much content they're trying to churn out. I think they are always willing to talk to people who are willing to build studios.
Okay.
We talk with those streaming platforms, those content creators, sometimes weekly because they have so many projects in the hopper. So, you know, my guess is that they want to keep their options open for where they can go to create, to get that content made. So.
Okay. And the other question was just about the incentive itself. Over the years, I know it's a struggle when you get a 2 years on and then you're waiting to hope that it'll become something the next year. And are they ever going to come up with a 10-year stride like some of the other states have, where it's like a commitment for growth?
Right. So that's a great question. And unfortunately, constitutionally, that cannot happen. Trust me, I've asked that question a million ways from Sunday because like you, I'm tired of the 2-year white knuckle roller coaster. I think we all are. But constitutionally, the way our budget gets allocated, you can't actually allocate beyond the 2 years, right? Okay. They can't allocate money that essentially doesn't exist yet for the state. So that is a challenge.
Is there a limiter or something on the amount? Like, and I like Robert Rodriguez, but I'm going to use him as an example. So he has a massive production and it like sucks a lot of the funding out of the kitty. Is there any kind of way that gets distributed or any talks about doing it so that we can keep a flow coming so it's not all taken by one production kind of a thing?
We try very hard not to make that happen because we want to have all types of projects come through. So, and we're kind of in that, not for one person or one project, but, you know, our legislature, you know, we were very lucky to get funded 45 million in a year a session with COVID and other emergency management issues. And that was a huge, it was really the governor's office stood behind us and, you know, wanted us to get that, you know, they believe in the program. So that we were funded that 45 million. It was the previous biennium was 50 million. And like I said, we can always spend more. We always run out. But, you know, I think we're really trying to get the legislature to understand how important it is to fund it at a level that makes sense. And I think their light bulbs are on. I've had lots of incredible conversations, but in a state that has a lot of industries that compete for funding, it is hard. It is hard to get some of those light bulbs. They may be on, but it is hard to get them to see film as a contender. But we're working hard, and the 50 million was a huge increase over the 32 we had previously been appropriated in the prior session. So our plan is to hopefully see an incremental increase the more they understand how valuable our industries are for economic impact and economic recovery. So Gigi, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I just wonder if there's any way we can protect our independence. You know, we have such a thriving community that makes independent features happen. And it's just one of those things where I've heard, you know, in the back channels, people like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. But, you know, it's like, will that money be there when they're done doing their project? You know, some kind of protection would be really nice.
Right.
That's all.
Well, I think that we work really hard to make sure we have a variety of projects going through. So we're not prioritizing one project type or one project size over another. I will tell you that even at the independent film level, budgets have skyrocketed. They've skyrocketed cost, just like inflation and also COVID. And, you know, it's increasingly hard to run a program at $45 million allocation. So we do the best we do, and we're looking at this now. We are looking to provide grants to as many projects as we can in this next cycle to make sure that the fund stretches, and that includes independent films. That's when we go out and we talk to other jurisdictions, other film commissions about the work that they do. The biggest point of feedback that we get is that they are so jealous of our independent and our native film community. We have a crop of artists that want to live and work and stay in Texas. A lot of markets don't have that, and we are very aware that that is precious. And so we want to honor all types of projects.
Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
And I'll just also add that, you know, it's not the incentive program. It's not a first come, first serve basis. It's that you have to fill out. And it's almost like an essay format question application where there's a lot of questions you have to provide about, you know, what are the tourism benefits and where across the state are you going to be filming? We are a state program. So we're trying to get that geographic diversity as well. So there's a variety of factors, you know, when a project is getting reviewed that we are taking into consideration. It's not just, you know, who's in the queue and who's lined up.
Right.
So.
Or the size of the project, right? Like a smaller project can have just as much economic impact, if not more, if they're going to an underused region than a large project. So it's balancing all of those things.
And when we get projects that film in those small areas, that's great for us because then we can show legislatures like this is a statewide program that benefits the entire state.
Yeah. One of the things, we have a lot of economic impact information on our website. That's one of the things I've been working really hard to get up to date since I became director. And we just put a heat map up of where projects have occurred, incentivized projects. You can take a look, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that there are projects all over. I'm always pleasantly surprised because we work really hard to do that.
So I just put that link there, Steph.
Thanks. Peggy, I guess Michael, you're next. Or Peggy, I don't know.
Peggy, you can
Michael,
go.
were you done?
You can go ahead, Peggy.
Okay.
Yeah, I have another question.
I simply wanted to make a comment because y'all talked earlier about the fact that the Texas Film Commission cannot lobby, but an organization that has not been mentioned here that does really work hard with lobbying, from what I understand, is TXMPA. And so I wanted to mention that to anybody who's on here who's not aware that TXMPA, that I would recommend everyone join that because they really work hard to help increase the incentives for Texas. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes, absolutely. I guess I'm next. Let's see. I think, Stephanie, I wanted to ask, how you talked about trying to educate those legislators. It seems to be the hardest part of turning biases of the industry and just helping to educate them on the benefits for our, cast and crew and small businesses. I'm wondering, is there a task force that you have of just local creatives and industry leaders that could assist you in coming up with a game plan to kind of help?
Yeah. Task forces, I've never had a task force. I like the idea of that. I mean, it's groups like the TXMPA, it's groups like SAG that take meetings in your jurisdiction with your legislators, and you tell them, we have so many members that live and work here, and here's what they earn, and here's what they pay in taxes. And, one of the things we're seeing is like the legislators understand small business. They understand business. They like business, right? It gives economic growth to their districts. I think where they get a little confused is where they hear incentives and they hear film and TV and they hear an old idea of what those things used to be, and they immediately shut down. So the more you talk about job creation, the more we talk about small business, the more we talk about brick and mortar. And I know production doesn't always do brick and mortar, but some of our turnkey, like our commercial production companies are brick and mortar. They have in-house teams that work and continually great work, and they help our larger crews fill in the cracks sometimes between shows. They understand that. And so it's reframing. Like a lot of times I've been in hearings where we'll talk about the HBO series The Leftovers went to Lockhart for 30 days, give or take, and they spent about $3 million at the local lumber yard. For the local lumber yard in Lockhart, that is a huge deal, right? $3 million in 30 days. So we take out HBO and The Leftovers, and we talk about our experience with this company that helped this small business in Lockhart, have this kind of economic impact. And then they say, I want a program like that. And we say, you already have one. It is called this. So it's really trying to get people to reframe and also not continue to have a bias about what they think the incentive does. Because it really does help local small businesses and create jobs. Mm-hmm. And that's something that TXMPA has been helpful in messaging out as well. They can go and talk to people in places that I can't. And that's a huge help. So.
Because that is something when I became local president 2 years ago that I wanted to create was, what you had talked about is, letting each actor connect individually, like one-on-one, whether it's sending postcards or Zooms with their representatives to just show a face, like, oh, I've seen you in that commercial, or oh, I saw you on that television series. They're not putting a name with the face. They're not seeing us, the single mothers that want to make the health insurance, or the actors that are having to leave their out of state to work.
And that's a great idea. And the time to do that is right now. The time not to do it is next year when everyone's in session and they're hearing from every single lobbyist for every single industry.
Right. And
Yeah.
And I know TXMPA and, you know, Mindy and everyone, and I've done great work, but I mean, I'm volunteering to head up a task force to help you to showcase our actors and just tell those true stories.
I think that is a fantastic idea.
So sign me up or I'll be in touch. But I mean, I want to help our, you know, all actors in Texas to get work and to change the narrative with our legislators. That's the reason I'm in the process of creating a TV series that I'm going to film in Austin based on Texas politics and the next female governor of Texas, which will be played by yours truly. But anyway, I got to change it. We've got to show them what we look like. And so I would love to connect and with anyone else on the call, if, you know, I put my email in the chat, but a task force to help you guys do the work. Is what I'm all about, because change only happens with us and ourselves.
Wonderful.
We have
was Danny next?
Danny needs to go next. He's been waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Gary.
Yes.
Quick question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if this question has been asked or not. I've been trying to pay attention, and it might have been answered before I got on this Zoom. How and I've talked about this with people, some friends and actors of a couple of weeks ago. How and why did y'all choose Bastrop? I'm just curious. I mean, it's a great place, but just, you know, even though it's tucked away a little bit farther past Austin's close, but, you know, just curious, why did y'all choose Bastrop?
We didn't.
Are you asking about the studio project?
Well, yeah.
So we have no connection with that. That's a private entity that chose to build out there.
Yeah.
We just know about it in general because projects like that come through our economic development office. They usually check in. I think we're seeing a lot of stuff in that corridor, the Giga corridor.
Yeah.
I think it's close to the airports and it's close to sort of San Antonio, Houston, and Austin, and that big triangle. So my guess is that's why, because they can pull, you know, labor from all sectors.
Yeah.
But that's a great question. I'm sure they'll be doing some public forums with Mr. Line 204 as they move forward. So please ask that question because I would like to know as well.
You're asking me too, so I had no answer.
Yeah. Sorry, my chat is up, so if I'm missing anyone's hand, please.
Gary's next.
Well, we have Gary, and also Forrest may have a question after Gary, if Forrest can figure out how to be heard. So, Gary, you're up.
Can y'all hear me? On?
You're on.
All right. First of all, I wanted to thank all three of you ladies, and Michael, you too, Tootie, Judith. It's nice to see women empowered. It's nice to see women in creative positions. It's nice to see women making change. I grew up with 6 brothers. But believe me, my mother used to always say a woman should be president. And all my brothers laughed, and I thought, she's right, because you ladies have more compassion, more relationship. So on a personal level, thank you all for your passion, your creativity. And it's nice to see the world start to realize that half the human population also has something to offer. Ta-da! You know, on a question, I wanted to ask y'all, have we lost any productions because either people couldn't find a location that they liked or because of content restrictions? That's my questions.
Allie, do you want to answer the part about locations?
I think maybe because of lack of infrastructure, perhaps that could have certainly happened. You know, we only have so many studio spaces available and makeshift studio spaces available for projects. So we may have lost projects due to that. As far as like a practical filming location, I don't.
Yeah. Texas has so much.
Yeah, and I feel like people reach out to our office and have a very distinct look in mind that they know they can achieve in Texas. So not that I can think of, other than just the infrastructure of not having maybe a studio space available.
To answer the other part of your question, you know, we're not regulatory, so anyone can make any type of project should they choose to. However, if they want incentives, they have to follow the rules of the incentive program. And one of the rules is that you cannot portray Texans or Texas in a negative fashion. That's very, you know, I say that, like, we don't just want stories about puppies. So if there is something, you know, we review all applications as they come in, and we work really hard to talk through any questions we might have about understanding what the content actually is for the incentive program. And so we work with projects and have lots of conversations about that if there are questions. But yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What else you guys got for us? I think I will say that I am my steam is we've had a very long day and I've already spoken on 2 panels today. And I love talking to you guys, but maybe like 2 or 3 more questions.
I think we have a question from Barry. There you are, Barry.
Oh, there you are.
Hey. So do you guys, are you saying if someone comes to you with a project, or there are projects that you get behind, do you ever, is the grant a form of financing the project? It's never that part of things.
No, the grant is not front-end financing. In fact, all projects that apply for the grant program have to be fully funded or they can't come through.
Okay,
we're not in the business of front-end financing. They have to be funded to go make their project. Right. And then it's more like a rebate. They have to prove that they spent the money in Texas and on Texans. It goes through an audit and then they're cut a check, assuming they meet all the qualifications.
Okay.
Right. Afterwards.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Barry, I was just going to add, I know you mentioned that you work with music as well. We have a sister office called the Texas Music Office that's just down the hall from us, and they have a lot of similar resources to us. You know, a directory connecting musicians with possibly PR and vendors. So just another resource to look into.
Yeah.
Reach out to. All right. Well, thank you.
Sean, you are still on here. I also wanted to mention to Sean, being that you're with car groups,
yes,
you might want to reach out to picture car coordinators. And if you send me an email or give me your email, I can send you the link to that.
Okay. Yes, I will.
If you're with various car groups.
I love cars, so anything to do with cars, I'm there.
and it was funny because your name sounded familiar, and I was like, have I emailed with you before? Potentially about this? I don't know. So shoot me an email and I'll send you a link to Picture Car Coordinators.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Forrest, did you want to give it a try?
No, I'm good. I had one question, but she answered it.
All right, and we heard that too.
Yay. Anything else? You guys ask good questions. This is good.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's really good.
Thank you.
To finally get to talk to you guys. Yeah.
Y'all have had a long day. We should let y'all retire.
Well, I want to make sure I answer all your questions. It took me a while to get here. You're so very welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And please, Judith just said it, but we mean it. Like, please reach out if you have any questions or need any help with resources. We have a mighty group of 11 of us, and we're always happy to help try to answer your questions. So please don't hesitate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good night.
Well, thank y'all for being part of it and helping quite a lot. Good night, everybody.